Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, who am I? Who is this person that is looking back at me? Beyond the titles, beyond the responsibility, beyond the expectations, many which are not even mine, who am I? For so many women, life feels like a script that someone gave them with directions on how you should and shouldn't be, with things you should and shouldn't do, how you need to show up in this role and that role. Today, we are tearing up that script and we are rewriting it the way that serves us. We are rewriting it in a way that honors us. And we are rewriting it in a way that we want to show up. You are more than somebody's something. You are more than their mother. You are more than his wife. You are more than their partner. You are more than an employer, and you are more than an employee. At the core of who you are is your identity. And to honor your identity, you get to decide what roles you play. And in those roles, you get to decide how you're going to show up. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to talk about how to break free of others' definitions and how to restart our own. So, let's start by introducing ourselves. I am Katisha Reed, licensed professional counselor, author, speaker, and women's identity expert. But more importantly, I am someone who overcame the expectation of others to live a life full of authenticity, full of joy, full of happiness, not absent of hard times, but full of focus on self. I am someone who reclaimed my identity and lives life on my own terms. And I want to help you do the same. So I asked you earlier, have you ever felt like you were living by someone else's script? And I want you to take a minute and just really think about that. What does that mean? That means that you're a mother, but you're living life as a mother based on how you saw other people live it, how other people feel like you should do. That means that you're a wife, but you're showing up as a wife in ways that you saw your mom show up or other people in your family, or ways that even someone may have suggested you need to do. It means that you're an employee, and maybe the way you show up is not authentic to you. It's the way that other people have molded you to show up, and it's not serving you. And so I'm going to talk about the top 3 scripts that we're living by. One is the good girl narrative. That is where you are quiet, you are seen, and you're not heard. You don't have bold opinions and thoughts. But you know, the reality is you do have them. You just don't speak them. You have them, and you have tuned them out. You have them, but you're not comfortable with them, and so you push them down. The second narrative that a lot of us are living is the superwoman syndrome. This is the one that comes up the most, right? What does that mean? That you are trying to be everything for everybody all the time. You know the person that gets left out the most in the superwoman syndrome? You. We put everybody above us and we say, oh, I'll get to me later. I'll get to me later. Later never comes. Because there's always another person that needs another thing and another thing that needs another person to do it. And a lot of times we volunteer or we are voluntold or we are obligated to or expected to be in these positions. The thing I like to share about the superwoman syndrome is that if we liken it to Superman, Superman is not always in character. Superman is Clark Kent because Superman needs a break. And I would argue that sometimes Superman is Clark Kent more than he's Superman. And so if you are the superwoman in your life, in your circle, in your family, in your job, when are you taking that cape off? When are you in a time where you can just focus on self, where you can just receive, where you can just experience joy, where you can just be? Because who said to you that you had to do all the things all the time for all the people? And how is that working for you? My guess is it is not. It is not. And a lot of times we are conditioned to not speak about when it's not working because we feel like we're broken. And I want to say to you today, if you are in a position where you are overwhelmed, where you are stressed out, where you are burnout, where you are numb, whatever you're doing is not working, and that is okay. That is okay. Open your hand and release some of that. Clear the plate. Delegate. Throw it away. You don't have to be, and you cannot effectively be, everything for everybody all the time. The third script that a lot of people are living by that is no longer serving them is holding on to the guilt and the fear of disappointing others. If I do this, what is my mom going to think? If I do this, what is my boss going to think? I really want to speak up, but if I do that, what are people going to think about me? Are they going to see me as angry? Are they going to see me as combative? We hold on a lot to mom guilt. What are my children going to think? What are other people going to think about me doing this as a mom? I'm going to miss out on something. Can I share a secret with you? A lot of times when you have mom guilt, that's a good indication, one, that what you're doing is working as far as like you're a good mom. A lot of times people will say, I don't feel like I'm a good mom. People who aren't good moms generally aren't concerned about if they're not a good mom. Mom guilt is also something that doesn't mean you shouldn't do the thing. It means that you may have to switch some things around. You may have to sacrifice. You may have to substitute some things in. But it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean don't do the thing. Another thing is a lot of times mom guilt is based off of an expectation from other people. When I first started traveling, I had a lot of mom guilt. What was I missing out on too much with my kids? Like, what did my kids feel? But what I found is that was easily rectified with a conversation. The mom guilt that weighed heavier on me was the thought that my mom had that I was traveling too much. What I had to learn is that she was a mom based off her definition, and I was a mom based off my definition. Because your definition is one that you get to create and you get to live by. So a lot of times these roles that we play, wife, mother, employee, employer, any other roles that you have, they overshadow your identity. They become the sole part or the sole way we see ourselves. This is how women whose children graduate high school, go off to college, or go off and do whatever they're going to do after high school, a lot of women feel stuck. Because for 18 years, you've only been a mom. You've not nurtured yourself. Now, it's going to be a while before I have an empty house. Because if you know me, you know my kids are 16, 9, and 3. Let's just take a moment of silence for that. But one thing that I know for certain, and I was very intentional about, is I didn't want my kids to be gone and then for me to feel stuck. Because before I became a mother, and I love being a mother, let me preface that and give that disclaimer, because there are people who are committed to misunderstanding the message I bring. But before I was a mother, I was Katisha. Now that I'm a mother, I'm still Katisha. Katisha still has dreams and goals. Some things have to be shifted here and there, and I'm okay with that. But it becomes overwhelming, it becomes exhausting when you forget who you were. When you no longer pour into who you were, who you are redefined as. Because the reality is, I can never be who I was prior to 2008. I can't be her. She didn't have kids. I can't even be who I was prior to 2015. Because before 2015, she had one child. So every time you have a child, a new version of you is birthed. Every time you go through life and you experience things, or you learn things, or you are reignited to different things, a new version of you is birthed. And that is okay. So sometimes connecting with your identity means honoring who you have become. Honoring who you have become and connecting with her. The goals and dreams I have today, a lot of them are goals and dreams I already had 2.0. And that is okay. You have to allow yourself time to stay connected to who you are. Number one, because children are watching you. I never want my children to feel like when you become a mom or a wife or whatever you choose to become, that is the end of your life. It is not. It is a different version of your life. But it is still your life. And so I want you to do an exercise for me. We're going to do a couple of exercises. The first one, I want you to identify three, however you need to do it, 3 non-negotiables. 3 non-negotiables for your happiness and your well-being. Now, for some of you, I cannot talk. For some of you, you're going to need to pause the video because it has been eons since you have even thought about your happiness, since you have even prioritized your well-being, because it's pushed so far back because you don't think that it is important, and it is. There's this adage that people say, happy wife, happy life, and I think that's cute, fine, and funny. But I also think there's some truth to that. I cannot be the mother or the wife or the employee or the employer that the people assigned to those roles deserve and expect if I am not fully taking care of me. Now, is my cup going to be full every day? No, but most days, yes. And so if my cup is repeatedly empty to the point that it is cracking because it's so dry and dehydrated, I can't be the mother those kids need. Let's just be real. I can't be the wife that he deserves. Let's just be real. I can't be the best employer. I can't be the best employee. And so filling your cup, thinking about your happiness, thinking about your well-being is not a suggestion. It is something you have to do if you are going to live a life that you enjoy and that benefits those around you. So I want you to think about your happiness. Let's start there. I want you to imagine yourself happy. And I know your kids make you happy. My 3-year-old this morning woke up and said, "Good morning, Mommy, my best friend." That made me happy. But there are some times in my life when I was in dark, broken places that no matter what he said, it would have sent us a shot of happiness up, but it would not have been long lasting. And so I want you to think about your happiness. What makes you happy? You, not anybody else. Travel makes me happy. And so I have to block out the people who believe that as a mom I shouldn't travel, as a wife I shouldn't travel. I have to block it out because remember, you're defining your life. You're defining your life because you got to live your life. So what makes you happy? What feeds into your well-being? This can be simple as drinking enough water. Because sometimes we don't take care of ourselves. We make sure our kids and our husbands and people we serve have fruits, vegetables, water, and we don't. We get the scraps. We give ourselves the scraps. But I want you to think about this thing differently. I want you to think about your happiness and well-being. And what are those 3 non-negotiables? It's non-negotiable. These 3 things have to happen. Right? This could be as easy as moving your body 10 minutes a day, drinking 8 cups of water, watching your favorite TV show, going to your therapy session, journaling, praying, meditating, attending church, spending one-on-one time with your children after you've had time with yourself, reading a book, spending time dreaming, setting those goals. What are 3 non-negotiables? And I want you to find somewhere where you can write them down. Because when you get it out your head, it makes it real. And when you write it down, it makes it tangible. What are 3 non-negotiables? Now, I want us to think about something here. A lot of times we talk about boundaries and setting boundaries. And setting boundaries is very important and is key to defining who you are and the life you want to live. But I want you to set boundaries that honor you. Boundaries are not, or it's better to see boundaries as something that's protecting you. Not what is it keeping out, but what is it keeping in. So if I'm on Facebook and someone has a lot of like drama, and this is like the 2nd or 3rd day, I'm probably going to hide them for 30 days. Because right now they're going through something and I honor that. But I also honor my peace. I also honor the joy I get from social media. I also honor that sometimes I can't take in what people are dealing with because then I feel like I have to be a fixer. And so that boundary is if I see something 1 or 2 times, then I'm going to slide them over so that I don't have to see that. So 3 non-negotiables and 2 boundaries. 3 non-negotiables for your happiness and well-being and 2 boundaries that honor you. And the last and most important thing I want you to do is a visualization exercise. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine a life where you choose you first. What does it look like? And I want you to be honest with yourself. Because for 99.9% of us, choosing us doesn't mean other people are going to suffer. And that's our fear. Is what are they going to do? Now, unless choosing you means running away from your family, which I do not endorse, let's get that clear, then your family is probably not going to suffer. If choosing you means 2 days a week you don't want to cook dinner, then you delegate it to somebody else. Right? If choosing you means you're going back to school, then you shift your family stuff around like you need to. If choosing you means you need 30 minutes in the morning before everybody wakes up. If choosing you means you need to go on a girls' trip for the weekend. What does choosing you look like? And when you think about choosing you, I want you to think about what dreams did you put down? Because when you get to define your life, it includes the dreams that you have. Now, the way you go about it may have to be unconventional. There may be sacrifice. There will be delegation. But you get to decide if that's something you want to do. You get to decide. And if you make a decision and it doesn't work, guess what? Come real close. Let me tell you a secret. You are not a tree. You can make another decision. You can move again. Whatever move looks like. If your dream is, hey, I always wanted to go back to school. And you say, I'm going to do this. Now, I'm going to have to go some nights and some weekends. So I'm going to have to shift some family stuff around. But this is pouring into me. And then you get there and you're like, you know what? I don't even have an interest in this anymore. Then you get to decide. You get to do something different. What I want you to get from this mini masterclass today is you get to decide. You get to decide if you want to show up like June Cleaver. You get to decide if you want to show up like Claire Huxtable, Peggy Bundy. You get to decide. And there is power in that. There is power in knowing that the life you are living is one you decided. It's not one that happened to you. Because even if circumstances happen to you, you get to decide how to respond. You get to decide how you move forward. You get to decide because it's your life. You don't have to be the kind of mom your grandmother was or your mother was. And that doesn't mean they weren't good mothers. My mom was an amazing mom. But my mom is a homebody, and that don't work for me. And that's okay. Was it difficult for her to see me traveling a lot? Yes. Did she have some input? Yes. But at the end of the day, the day got in. I was like, at the end of the day, I had to make a decision that I was going to live my life off of her terms and be unhappy. Therefore, I'm showing up as an unhappy, resentful mother and wife. Or I can face it, that wasn't the life I wanted, that wasn't the way I wanted to show up as a mother, and do what made me happy. Do what pours into me. And it doesn't make me less of a mother. It doesn't make her less of a mother. And whatever decision you make, I can assure you that 99.9% of them won't make you less of a mother. And so what are you going to decide today? What definition? Is it success? Is it motherhood? Is it wife life? Is it employer? What definition are you redefining so that it better serves you, and in return, it better serves those around you? You get to decide.